Hi guys, welcome to the podcast. My name's Anthony Janice, author of the Circles of Light trilogy, and I'll be talking about one method in which to help new authors come up with story ideas. Now, the best method that I found for me personally was when you're thinking about a book to write, try not to think about exactly what genre you want to write in. At first, let the ideas come to you. So, what I mean is, just sit in a space where you feel comfortable and just let the ideas come in. Don't try to think of it in a way that, oh, for example, I want to write a fantasy novel or a fantasy trilogy or a thriller novel or any sort of genre, because you're really limiting the process of what I'm going to call the passion. And what I mean by that is sometimes you may want to write in a certain genre or you might want to write a certain book, but for some reason, which I often find with me, I may get an idea for a totally different subject, a different genre, and feel more passionate about it than what I'm trying to force myself to write. Now, of course, if you're a known author and you want to specifically write in a genre, you can use this method uh, in the same way, but you just have to think of it in a way where you're limiting yourself to that genre. So basically, the method is, as I said, allow the ideas to come to you, and out of them, try and focus on the ones that make you most passionate. What really grabs you? So if you're thinking, oh, I want to write a thriller novel, and then for some reason, an idea keeps coming up that you want a good idea for a romance novel, try not to think of it as, no, I've got to write this thriller novel because this is what I want to do. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, do you actually want to write that genre? Is it because you've seen a good film, or is it because you've read a good book and you want to emulate that book? Sometimes at that point in your life, maybe that's not the correct thing for you. And the reason I say let the ideas come to you and find what really grabs you is because at that moment it's that what's grabbing you. The easiest way to really put it, well, I wish someone would have told me, but I didn't really know any authors, or I didn't wasn't in any author groups like I am now. But if someone said to me, Anthony, you've got to think of an idea that's going to take you through years of writing, redrafting, editing, going through beta readers, things like that, then that was the best way to put it. But luckily, with my first books, the books 1 and 2 in the Circles of Light trilogy, I found that was my passion, and I've been writing the trilogy for 14 years now, and I've just published the second book. So what came up then was, I've been saying to my friends, I've finished book 2, but book 3, I've been spending so long on this one storyline in a fantasy genre that I'm getting quite bored. Not bored with the story, but I'm just bored with sticking in that genre. It's a very limiting place to be as a writer, where, for example, you've got a trilogy and you've written 2, and then you think, oh, I've got to write the third one. Um, but your heart is not totally in it. So, what I mean by coming back to the method in which I was saying, allowing the ideas to come in. So, for example, through half of writing book 2 in the Circles of Light trilogy, I've just been feeling that I want to write a thriller novel, and I've been saying it to my friends, and they say, "Well, why don't you?" And I said, "Well, I'm I'm editing book 2. I'm one of these people that I can't write another, like, 2 things at the same time. It's quite jarring for me. I feel like I need to focus on one and then the other." But the point is that passion was coming out, and what happened consequently because of that passion, and I allowed it in, was I allowed these ideas to happen, and very, very quickly. I'd come up with the first idea, the second idea. I'd get a scene that I wanted in the thriller novel. A piece of dialogue, an expression on a character's face. It was really flooding me. So that's why I thought, right, okay, no, this inside it's telling me that a thriller novel or a thriller story is what you need to write because it's what I'm passionate about at the moment. There's no reason why after the thriller novel I can't go back to book 3 in the Circles of Light trilogy and finally complete it. But if you think of it in this way, if you start writing something and your heart's not totally in it, it will show in the writing. You could say, yeah, but Anthony, I'm a terrible writer anyway. It's going to show no matter what. It's not really, because what I mean by it in terms of the writing, it's more in you. It's the motivation of writing. Think of it this way. The average novel, say a thriller novel, if you're going to be in that genre, is between 70 and 100,000 words. Now, I think for me, it takes about 8 months to a year to even do that. And then you've got to think that's just the first draft. Notoriously, first drafts are just getting it on the table, and that's going to be another podcast that I'm going to be detailing as well. But what you really need to do is get the ideas out there, and you really need to get motivated in what you need to be doing. So, as I said, the first draft, just getting everything on the table, and then you've got to do it all again. Now, you could be one of these people that likes to edit what you've got, but when I started as a new author, what I did was I'd written one draft and then I just kept some elements and then I just rewrote it again. So for the first 3 drafts, I actually wrote stories, different stories, and it's quite odd on how it's evolved on my computer because I've got the different files for different stories, and I can see, well, this character used to be an animal and now it's a secondary character, or this was a primary character and now they're an animal. So it can be quite a jarring thing, but that's because I didn't know exactly what I was doing in a way to make the process easier. I have to highlight, it's not the wrong thing to do. Everyone's unique in how they edit. So back to the point, you've got to have ideas, or you've got to focus on something that's so passionate that's going to take you through all that hardship. And believe me, the end result is worth it, but you, through the process, you will want to give up many times. And it's that passion. You've got to think, is this idea worth it? Is this idea meaning so much to me that I would rather stay in and write something that I really want to get out there for your own reasons? Ultimately, I know a lot of people say you've got to write something to be a bestseller, you have to write it for the audience. Well, that is true to a degree if you follow certain formulas, but in my opinion, what you have to write, when you write anything, when you do anything, it has to be for you first. Because if you are not loving the idea, if you're not passionate about the idea will never ever see the light of day because you won't finish it. So that's something that's really important. So that's why I say, if you, which I mentioned earlier, if you want to do a thriller novel, but a fantasy idea has really just caught your eye, and you think, oh, I could go with that, but no, I'm not going to do it because I want to write a thriller novel, and that's what I've got my head set on. Go with your heart, go with your passion, go with where that's leading you, because that's what's going to take you through it. If you have another idea, if say like you have a collection of ideas and they're all good, go with the one that draws the most passion in you, and note the others down. Note them down, put them in a file, and then just leave them. Go with something you're more passionate about. Write that, finish that, and then move on to the other ones. Because it happens many times with me. I'd note down ideas, and then all of a sudden, I don't really like them anymore. because you just see, oh, it was just a phase, or it's just something I was going through. Of course, the things you're most passionate, say you get a really passionate idea, then that may run out, but then another passionate idea will come along. But if you really focus on the things that you're really passionate about, you won't feel like it's a waste of time. You'll feel like it's a learning curve. So, okay, yeah. So I thought that would be a good first podcast for my writing tips. Like and share anything. As I said, it's a new podcast that I'm starting for writers and many other uh, different topics. But leave the comments, because it would be nice to see what people thought. In terms of the content and whether the sound was okay. I've bought a new mic and stuff like that, and so any comments, would be welcome. You can also help me out by going to my website for the Circles of Light trilogy. So that's